All right, everybody, we're here. Here we are.
Welcome, everyone.
Thank you so much for your patience, everybody. We think we've mastered this platform, and we're here. We're ready for Metaphysical Q&A live. So, Crystal, why don't you tell them what this particular platform that we're doing, what we're trying to achieve here.
All right. Welcome, everyone. We're so blessed and we're so grateful to have you with us today. And of course, my cohort in crime, Dr. Lauren Cielo. How wonderful is he? Yeah. I'm so blessed to be working side by side with him. So, of course, our Metaphysical Q&A platform, this is MQA Live. We have been trying to launch MQA Live, Lauren, 8 months possibly. Possibly about 8 months. Yeah, it's funny. That's why we're just laughing at this point, because it's been so funny that every single month for 8 months, some sort of tech issue has come up. So we think we made it. So we're just so we're just happy to be here. And really what MQA Live is, of course, hopefully you all catch our podcast. And of course, we also have teachings too. And really what we're trying to do is bring metaphysics to the masses, right? To understand that, of course, we've got a physical body, and we've also have this, wonderful, light body, right? This astral body of ours that superimposes hopefully over the physical body. And really the metaphysical side is really just shifting everyone's space so they can really understand that there's so much more than just this earth plane going on. And we're hoping that we're bringing it to you in very easily understood terms. Now, on top of that, both Lauren and I are clairvoyant readers, healers, and teachers. So we're really sort of with MQA Live, sort of fusing our clairvoyant reading space with our metaphysical audience. So what we want to do is we want to be here for you guys, right? We want to be here live for you guys, ready for your questions. And we'll just clairvoyantly, of course, take a peek at you all, and we'll also metaphysically answer. Lauren, do you have anything? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is our attempt to make the podcast live. One of the things that Crystal and I see for the future of Metaphysical Q&A is that we're coming to your city. We're going to pack up the kids and crank up the car and take it on the road. So this is a way for us to practice, I guess, and to do it from a virtual platform. So, through my spiritual seeking through the years, probably like you, I stumbled onto Abraham Hicks and Esther, who channels Abraham. And if you've seen him and her on YouTube, you kind of know the format that Hester works in, where she's up in front of people who are asking a bunch of questions, and through the information of Abraham, she answers them. So that's really what Crystal and I want to do. So we're finally successful in bringing Metaphysical Q&A right into your home. So we're excited about it. So what we'd like is for you to ask us questions. Now, it can be a personal question about you, and we'll answer it from a big metaphysical standpoint, and then we'll narrow right down to you and answer your question. If you don't have a question about your personal life, maybe you just have a general metaphysical question that you might want to pose. Now, Crystal said it, everything is metaphysical, right? Everything that you experience when you're awake in your Homo sapien is because of metaphysics. So pretty much like we say, daily dilemmas to cosmic curiosities. We're here to answer your questions. So first, I guess before we get started, and just feel free to type your question right in there over on in the comments. Crystal and I can see them.
Now, I know. Hi, everyone. It's so nice seeing everyone come on in. I love that you're listing your cities. I'm a geographic freak, so I love knowing where people plant their bodies. So thank you for sending that to me.
If you don't know Crystal's background, she was a flight attendant for years, and she's been all over the planet. One of the funny stories I like to tell her about her, she was telling me about this guy that she was dating. And
you know, I'm an open book. Let it be.
and he was trying to impress her by saying, let's go to this place in the world. Let's go to that place. And she's like, I've been there, done that.
Poor guy. Poor guy. I was like, just watch a movie with me at home with my dog. That'll really impress me. I don't need to go to Paris.
So,
all right. Well, we have our first question, Lauren, from Tina. Do you want to tackle? Hi, Tina. How are you? So, hey, Christy. I miss you. Christy was a student of both Lauren's and mine. So she went through a year and a half's worth of training with us. Do you want to tackle Tina's question? Can I be happy in the current relationship I'm in?
You know, I'm getting echo. Do you hear me echoing?
I don't hear you echoing at all.
Okay. Perfect then. I'll roll with it. It's not bad. It's not bad.
Are you guys hearing? If you're hearing echoing, let us know in the comments. Hey, Twin Cities. Hi. Jeannie wants to know, are you doing readings or what kind of questions? Jean, anything you want, whether they're clairvoyant or metaphysical. We're doing everything here. All right.
So should we jump on Tina's question?
Let's jump on Tina.
Okay, I'll answer it broadly.
Yep.
And then you can zero in on Tina. So relationships, just like everything else, are created through your spiritual contracts. And here on earth, we have absolutely no control over what those contracts are. Our best hope is to be able to live through them, whatever they are, with ease and grace. And that's really the fundamental reason that Crystal and I started Metaphysical Q&A. So if in our relationship space, if we ask our guides and angels to go to the astral plane and to work with our higher self and to bring that relationship, that specific relationship contract into present time. Okay. Now, once that happens, then the only thing else that you need to do is here on the earth. But Crystal and I really read in both worlds. So once we know that you've done your absolute best to get this relationship contract into now, not what it was before you met, not what it was when you met, and not what it'll be when you finally are not in relationship with that person, whether one of you goes home or whatever, is to do your energy work here on earth. And it's really simple. It's not rocket science. One of the main ways that I heal myself every morning in my personal meditations is I do that very same thing. I send my guides to update my contracts, and then I ask them to work on Lauren's body, chakras, and aura to set the energy in here to match whatever that contract says. So if that means that I'm going to be in relationship with a bunch of crazy girls that drive me mad, so be it.
I hope not. I hope you've learned that. I hope you've learned.
So Tina, the answer to your question, and I know you've got a healing master, it would probably be best if you sent your healing master.
That's your phone, huh?
Yeah, my phone's going crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry. There it goes, finally.
Saw those girls blowing up your phone.
Please. Like this.
I've got crickets over here.
No, I read your horoscope.
Oh.
Crystal always has these crazy love, sex horoscope things, and like she says, cricket.
I must be doing a lot on the astral because physically, not much going on.
So Tina, send your healing master to update your contract, and then have your healing master work the energy in your field to match the contract. And then if we do that to our best ability, no effort, just intention. You don't have to go, right? Just setting your intention. If we do that, then Tina, however you react in your relationship, whether you're screaming at your partner or whether your partner's screaming at you and you're not saying anything back, that's what the contract is. So once you update the contracts and you work to set your energy field to match the contract, then whatever you do or you don't do is because of the contract. And that's the best that we can hope for. So whether that means that you've had enough and you're going to cancel the contract, so be it. Or maybe all of a sudden the things your partner is saying to you aren't bugging you and you don't feel like something's flying out of your mouth that you're going to regret later. So I think that's the best way to have clarity here on earth about especially those intense relationship contracts is I'm updating them and I'm setting my intention that all of the energy and information that's in my field matches that contract. And I call that faith. That's what faith is. You can have faith in whatever you're doing or not doing. It's on the contract. So that's what the big answer to how people can improve their relationship contracts. Now I'll hand it off to Kristen.
Now we'll take it to a smaller personal level and talk about you, Tina. Yeah. So Tina, what I was reading in your space, of course, this is all in your second chakra. And if you're familiar with chakras, you don't have to be, of course, we'll guide you along the way. It's very, very easy. And of course, chakras are just wheels of energy that we have inside of ourselves. And it holds like information, it holds energy. And your second chakra, that always has something, it holds the energy and information of your sexuality, but also your emotional space, Tina. So I see being in this relationship, there's a lot of information that's coming through. It's in a growth period. And whenever I read something that's in a growth period, of course, like it always feels a little bit awkward here on earth. So I wouldn't be surprised if you and your partner, it sort of feels like, oh, like maybe the passion's gone, or maybe there's just like, why can't we really get along? Or maybe like we're just brother and sister or sister and sister right now. Or, you know, it always seems to be where it kind of feels a little bit fussy here on earth, but it just means that it's growing. And quite honestly, you're the one that's growing. And what you're trying to really grow into is really you're discovering more about your spirituality through your relationship space right now. And now spirituality is always kind of goofy. Like whenever, I don't know, when I've talked to my guides about, you know, and I have a healing master, Savu, and I talk to him about spirituality, it's really one of those words that it's like, how do you ever even define it? Because it's so individual to every single person. But it's really about like, where do you go when, you know, you close your eyes, you go within, like, where do you go in those quiet moments of you, right? That's really what you're sort of growing into. So perhaps, you know, for you, let me try to get you a yes, no question here is if you can be happy in your relationship, quite honestly, it's about like, how well do you want to accommodate it? How well do you want to step into that relationship or essentially step out of that relationship to allow yourself to grow into this bigger spiritual being that you're really wanting to be? And your partner may be able to match that, right? You can really work the contracts like Lauren was talking about and asking your partner to come up and match that, right? If you really want to be with your partner for the long haul. But a lot of the times what we see in relationships, right? Like one sort of grows and then it's hard for the other one to grow or whatnot. I think you definitely can be happy in your current relationship. But I also think that your wings are kind of like wanting to come out and sort of like spread and sort of wanting to grow. And it's going to see how far can your wings go, meaning how much space do you have for someone else. So I think you're going to come up to that decision about how well this is going to serve you in your space. That's what I got for you. So I hope that helps, Tina.
You know, I want to say one other thing, because the relationship contracts are changing. We know that because our grandparents were married my grandparents were married at 14 and stayed married forever until they died, right? And they hated each other. It was quite obvious, but they were family. Right. They went, just like the Bible says, you leave your mother and father and you cling to your husband or wife. And Crystal and I were just alluding to the fact that our relationship, not our relationship, but our individual relationship spaces are changing to, you know, and maybe it's because we do shift and change so much. But let me give you this mental image picture. I don't know how to achieve it. I only know that I've seen this picture in relation to my relationship space in the future. So we all know about chakra cords, right? It's when one of your chakras is reaching out and plugging into someone else's. So when my last relationship ended, I realized that the heart chakra cord that was going to my ex-girlfriend's heart had been ripped out. And so that thing was just like a fire hose, right? It was just bleeding everywhere. Didn't have anybody to lock hearts with. It was very painful. So Anki Yaya, my healing master, showed me this image. She said, well, what if you did this, Lauren? What if you corded with your heart chakra up to the Supreme Being, and then whoever you want to have a love relationship with, an intimate love relationship, maybe they do that too. So if she pulls out, I'm still connected, heart chakra to the Supreme Being. Now, again, I have no idea what that would feel like to live through, but that mental image picture is kind of worth focusing on.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. And really what that says to me, like when I'm taking a peek at it too, is really understanding that, when you're in a relationship, a lot of the times we share so much information, right? And we sort of almost become one, like the whole thing about, oh, you sort of look like your partner now. And maybe that's perhaps because they are courted. But if you were to court into the Supreme Being and both of you are sort of feeding from the source of one, right? And not necessarily each other, maybe it allows for greater growth, right? And also, more of like a bigger relationship, right? Bigger than just the two of you. I love that.
I always go back to Kurt Russell and
I love
Goldie
them.
Hawn,
Oh,
right?
They're my favorite.
Like I remember Goldie Hawn in an interview said, "Look, if I don't want to wake up next to him, I don't go to bed with him that night. Period."
Yep.
And they're both fine, right?
Yeah. One of the longest relationships in Hollywood. Yeah.
I hope that helps you, and let us know how it goes.
Yeah. I know you're in a big growth period, so lots of change, Tina.
Okay. So I guess we're up to, and Crystal, correct me if I'm wrong. I think we're up to Susan Rebecca May.
Exactly.
All
hey,
right.
Susan. All right.
Susan. Okay, so let's see. What can we do to change our contracts regarding our daily vitality?
Ooh, well, I love that. Go ahead.
You want to start? Oh, I'll start?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, since I think it's sort of, Susan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think probably what we just spoke about gave you a pretty good idea. And go ahead, Lauren. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what creates your daily vitality.
That's true.
Yeah. Your daily vitality is from the outer layer of your aura in. And in there, in your body chakras and aura, there's just this energy that's just fluxing and moving, going out and coming back in, right? So in this teaching, the way to feel most vital, like we like to say on the forward lean of your spiritual path, is to be in your body, be running your own energy, and be running from your own information. So I think the biggest thing that depletes me is mixing energies with other people. I don't know, Crystal, what about you?
Oh my gosh. Yes. If I could stay in my cocoon just with me and my dog, I'm pretty okay. And then I have to be very aware about how I exert my outside energy with others and how it commingles.
Yeah. So, Susan, I was peeking at you, and I think you need some protection tools. And I'll just tell you how we do it. So Crystal and I spend a lot of time clearing things that aren't in present time, things that aren't ours, right? And since we're doing that daily, we want a little bit of insulation or isolation from other people's energy coming flooding right back in. So, we use the metaphor of roses. So the main tool that we teach our clairvoyance students is called a protection rose. And it's this big imaginary, like 10-foot tall rose that you push right onto the outside of your aura in front of you. 10 foot, maybe 15 foot, big rose. The blossom is your favorite color. And the reason why is because your favorite color is the color that your crown chakra runs most often. So, and then you ground the stem of the rose and you create an 8x10 colored glossy of yourself smiling and waving, and you put it up in the rose facing outwards. Now the rose is vibrating to your frequency, your color, and it looks like you because your picture's in it. So it fools people. Like if my mom and dad are talking about me saying, gosh dang it, when's Lauren going to do this? Or when's Lauren going to quit doing that? When somebody's doing that, their energy is coming in my field. So the protection rose looks like me, it's vibrating to me, so they plug into that. And if they hit it with enough energy, it just goes down the rose's grounding cord and doesn't come through into my space. So give that a try. And if you need energy tools, email us. We'll send you some energy tools that we usually send new clients at our respective businesses that'll help you get going. But I think that might be it. Crystal, did you have something else?
Yeah, I do. And you're such an empath. So of course, this sort of piggybacks off of what Lauren says as far as like feeling other people's energy, right? And for you, again, it's in your second chakra, and that's your emotional space. And that's usually how empaths communicate with other people, right? You're sort of your clairsentient, right? You're feeling other people. And as you're feeling other people, right, you're sort of absorbing their energy. So what happens is like you could walk out, feeling really great in the morning, and all of a sudden that first stop that you make, maybe you're getting gas in your car or something like that, and you're talking to the attendant and they're just like, oh man, I didn't sleep at all last night and I'm just so tired. And all of a sudden your energy, right, goes from here and then it goes whoa, all the way down, because what's happening is you're feeling their energy. And let's face it, most humans are running low vitality. Most humans are running low vitality, and it's really like, like Lauren was talking about, how we release all the time. And really work on that. You have to be proactive and actually feeling like the best of your body, right? To sort of feel that vitality. And isn't that a shame? I mean, wouldn't it be wonderful to just, be born into a lighter body where everything just feels so good and, you don't really feel that drain, but you're just absorbing everyone else's energy. So those tools are going to be really, really great for you. But then as far as like updating your contracts to really bring in vitality, what I would do, quite honestly, if I was you, something super easy, and just like what Lauren and I always talk about, it is just with effort, no effort. I mean, just with intention, no effort whatsoever. You could just call in your highest and best guides and angels, maybe that moment, right when you're waking up in bed and you're just like, oh, it's going to be an awesome day. You could just call in your highest and best guides and angels, and you can just ask them, would you bring all of my contracts into present moment, right here, right now? And would you please fill me in with vitality for today? Please, set up your protection tools like Lauren was just talking about, and just ask your highest and best guides and angels, allow me to run this energy today. Allow this. And there's, like Lauren said, a lot of other tools that we can provide for you, but a lot of it is with intention, right? Keep that energy, that low draining energy. I beeline it if I'm walking and someone, in my neighborhood, I can feel their energy. And, if I ask, oh, how's it going? All of a sudden they're going to really bring me down. I beeline it the other direction, right? I don't want it. Don't get it on me, because I work really hard to run this vitality. So don't get it on me. So hopefully that'll help. And I'll get hit like a wave, if I don't have my tools up. Yeah, but just ask to run vitality, whatever that means for you, right? Like, I want to run amusement today. I want to run joy today. I want to run a marathon today. Work with your guides to really call that in too, and just really feel that. So I hope that helps.
Excellent. Well, before we go on to another question, I guess we should plug our podcast.
Oh, yeah. I forgot we have a business. I'm just kidding.
This just feels like playing. This is work. So
let's talk.
So Crystal, it's funny because when Crystal and I created the Metaphysical Q&A podcast, we didn't really know what we were doing, first of all, and we didn't know who was going to do what. But that's what's so great about collaborating with Crystal, is that our energy just seems to flow right together. So Crystal has been the one that has distributed, I guess, our podcast through all the RSS links. So you can get our podcast anywhere that you get your audio podcast. And of course, most of you like the video that's up on the video version, which is up on our YouTube channel. So no matter where you're hearing us, we would really appreciate if you would subscribe, rank, and review. Is that right, Crystal? That's the
Yeah. So on YouTube, you can subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And then there's another step. They kind of make it a little difficult. There's a little bell and right next to the subscription. So if you want to click that, and then you'll get notified once our new episodes are dropped. And we're trying to drop them every couple of weeks. This month that we've been a little bit busy. And if you're getting it on and then of course, please, comment on all of them. We read all of your comments. We try to respond to all of them. So we love, love, love that. And then if you're catching them in audio like iTunes or Google Play, we're on iHeartRadio, anything like that, especially on Google Play and like iTunes, if you can subscribe to our podcast, and then there's a rating, so you could 5-star us if you want, and then you can also comment. And that really helps our ratings of overall. That's how they rate the overall world podcast. So it would be really super helpful if you could. We love you guys so much, and it's honestly your feedback that keeps us going.
And if you do all of that, it moves us up on those different platforms, so more people can have access to all the fun and great information that you're enjoying. Right. So
yeah, super fun. It's super fun. Yep.
So and one other thing, Metaphysical Q&A podcast is fueled by your questions. So please, if you go to our website, or probably the easiest way, and submit your question. And we always say that if we do use your question on the podcast, we'll give you free reading. So there you go.
Yeah. And then one more thing, and then we'll get to some more questions, is if you're an expert out there, we are welcoming experts onto the podcast. So, and you can actually go on our website, www.metaphysicalqa.com, and it says, if you're an expert, and then there's a form. So if you'd like to fill that out. And even when I say, because I think this happened in a lot of your space, when I say expert, a lot of you went, "Ooh, but I'm not an expert." Would you please blow that picture as what we say? And anything in your space that says that maybe you're not an expert, maybe you are. So just sort of remove that energy that maybe is sort of invalidating your expert space, and come on in, because trust me, I'm sure you have something beneficial to share to our audience. So we would love that.
Excellent. All right. So what's up next, Crystal? Can you say?
All right. Yeah, we're at Nancy Crowell. I hope I'm saying you right, Nancy. And she says, advice recovering from a narcissistic, abusive relationship.
Oh, Crystal, I don't think you and I know anything about that.
Nancy, hold on. Let me write my book for you.
I think that's the perfect question for us, because that's exactly what Crystal and I have in common, is those.
Yeah.
So
and
go ahead, Crystal.
Nancy, how that showed up, of course, I'll talk a little about it personally, and then I'll go into the metaphysical side. Now, I hope my mom's not watching. I have to say that there was, I grew up in a narcissistic, abusive family. And so, of course, what happens when that is familiar with you, right? If that's all that you sort of know around you, well, what's going to happen is, of course, you gravitate towards these relationships that sort of make you comfortable, right? Even though it's dis-ease, right? But that's sort of how you have known how to exist. And so that happened in my space. And I essentially went through a stream of relationships, all narcissistic, abusive relationships. I'm very lucky where it hasn't been physical for me, but it definitely emotional, control, abuse. So if you did experience that, Nancy, of course, you're the wounded healer, right? You are the wounded healer. And that's what Lauren and I always say, that, it's essentially the dark night of the soul, right? If you're familiar with tarot, it's the dark night of the soul. You're really having to go through some heavy stuff to sort of hopefully find your way at the end of the tunnel. And boy, once you do, it's like, you realize life is so wonderful once you actually break those ties and you can get out of it, and you can see the chaos that, you've really been immersed in. Because most often you can't see it when you're around it, right? When you are submerged into it, that you're feeling dis-ease, right? We all know what dis-ease feels like. It's when our second chakra, when our third chakra, that's about our belly button area, then our mid-tummy area, when you start to get that, ooh, like the really uneasy stomach queasiness where you're just like, it feels like knots, and I know you all know what I'm talking about. When you feel that, that is dis-ease in your space. There is something that you are not comfortable in being in. So, and I think that's a big question, not, that you're asking it, but like, how do you really recognize dis-ease? Of course, that's a really big one, right? So how do you recover from a narcissistic, abusive relationship? There's a lot of work to do, right? But let's look at it metaphysically as far as we're made up of two things, right? Energy and information. So all of that you've been collecting, if you're similar to me, where you were always in some form of narcissistic abusive relationship, say maybe, your first experience of this was when you were 2 years old. Well, you created this one picture. We call it a core picture right here, right? And then every single time Nancy experienced some sort of narcissistic or abuse in your relationship space, whether it's romantic, friendships, family, all of a sudden, there's another picture, which is just information. We're clairvoyant, so we call it a picture, but it's just information. All of a sudden that builds on top of that, and then that, and then that, and then that. It's kind of like plaque, if you can imagine. If you didn't get your teeth cleaned, right? You have all of this plaque that's just sort of building up off of this one core picture of this narcissistic abusive relationship, right? So every single time your body is in this, experiencing the effects of this narcissistic abusive relationship, you're reading that stream, that domino stream, all of this plaque of all of these pictures you've created over your entire lifetime of every single time you experience that. So you get really lit up and you are living in dis-ease. So my heart goes out to anyone that's experienced this, because we have lived in this. So metaphysically, what you can do, you sort of just start chiseling away, right? You sort of like chiseling away at all of these stacked pictures that are up there, right? Changing your space. We're only made up of two things, energy and information. Well, that narcissistic behavior, how you're reacting to being in this narcissistic relationship, it's a ton of energy on it, right? Tons of pictures. So you can really change your space by releasing a lot of this information and hopefully allowing your body to start to find its way back, right? Start to not live in total dis-ease, right? As you sort of work away that plaque. And a simple tool for that, we talk about roses all the time, but a simple tool for this is you just envision with your eyes closed, right? Just envision a beautiful rose. And we just attach the property of stickiness to it, just a single stem rose, just not black or white, if you will. And you just sort of envision it and you just allow it to run through your space, collecting up all of that energy and information that sort of has you reacting, right, to that narcissistic abusive relationship. Anything that's tied, right, all of that plaque that really has allowed you to live in that, to feel that, to really light up your space. Just start working it, right? Just start working your energy and releasing it, right? Just releasing all of that stuff. And metaphysically, that's a great way to do it. And quite honestly, well, I think therapy is wonderful on all levels, but on a metaphysical level, if you really start working that energy, it works. A lot quicker than essentially purging in like a therapy office, right? It might take you 10 years, to really work through the energy of a narcissistic abusive relationship and really healing through that. That if you were to just take, 5 minutes, maybe even 90 seconds each day, run a rose through your space, collecting up all of that energy and information on this narcissistic abusive relationship, pushing it far past your aura and exploding it, you're going to heal pretty quick. Yeah. So really it's about changing your energy, changing your information. I know you've got a lot more information, Lauren.
Well, I'll start with the difference between talk therapy and energy work. When you go and talk to a therapist, what you're metaphysically doing is you're taking that picture information out of your space and you're looking at it and you're describing it to someone else. And in doing that, it starts to take the energy off of the picture. Or you don't have to look at it. You can create a sticky rose, push it out of your aura and get rid of it. So another thing that I'll say about narcissistic abusive relationships is when I was in one, I thought I was healing her, right? I thought her life would fall apart if I didn't stay. And it did after we broke up. But as the years have gone by, I realized that she was healing me, because never again will I let somebody treat me that way. One of my affirmations was, I can love myself as much as I loved her. And then I even expanded the affirmation to, I have the ability to love myself as much as the person on this planet that loves me the most. Like I can even exceed their love for me. And so I think I think us healers attach ourselves to the wounded. And, for me, I think that's why I've just retreated from relationship space. And I started to notice something that, if I do get attracted to someone, like if I'm, out and I look at somebody, I'm like, wow, look at her, all of a sudden I can feel this sickness, like in my third chakra, that I used to think was attraction, but it's still this kind of bitter, oh, I could make her life so much better. Oh my God, I could swoop in and fill her bank account and move her into my home. And I could feel really good about myself by making her life better. I've just had to abstain, I guess is the word. So, it will take time, but maybe some of the things that we've said will be beneficial. Now, Crystal and I have been tossing out what we call psychic energetic tools. And these are some of the things that we teach in our clairvoyant programs. But starting in June, Crystal and I are starting a live metaphysical training course. It'll be on Saturdays at 2 p.m. Pacific time. There's a free open house on June 8th. And it's really easy to sign up for. If you just go to our website, metaphysicalqa.com/training, or you can just look at the tab there and click training, and it'll give you a way to sign up for the free open house, where we'll discuss in very much more detail what that training is and what you can expect, and if it's right for you. So instead of us just saying, oh, it's so easy, just do this. Well, come into the metaphysical training, and we're going to teach you all kinds of things that will really improve your life. Yeah.
Yeah. And our metaphysical training, that's essentially because we do teach clairvoyant, psychic development. So it's going to be completely different to where if you're really looking to expand your clairvoyant space, which I know a lot of you are, because I see a lot of common faces there, definitely hop into our clairvoyant programs. And we're both starting one. I have a free introduction class April 20th. And then the first class will start first weekend in May. And then I know Lauren starts his in May as well. Now that's really to start reading with your chakras, right? You're really going to start opening up and reading with your crown chakra, your sixth chakra, your throat chakra. And our metaphysical teachings is more for someone who doesn't want to develop their psychic abilities, but really wants to move, learning how to recover from our narcissistic relationship, really learning tools for everyday life, learning metaphysical tools for everyday life. Well, essentially it's self-healing, right? It's going to be self-healing. You're going to learn tools to really heal yourself. And then the clairvoyant program, you really learn tools to heal yourself and others. Yeah. Super exciting. Yeah.
I know.
Exciting. Oh my gosh. I love it so much. So I think we're on to Jessica's question, which I love. Hey, Jessica, hopefully you're still with us. I've recently started seeing people's light bodies and auras. I saw through my third eye energy radiating off a man with whom I have a great and long-term connection with. I felt like his light body, and I saw it give me a hug as we were talking. Since then, I've been seeing auras. What is this, and does this happen to everyone? I really would like to take it further with this guy anyway. Go, Jessica. You want it or you want me?
Go ahead.
Okay. So Jessica, so no, it doesn't happen to everyone. But what you're seeing essentially, of course, is now we've got a physical body, right? Well, it pretty much goes back to the beginning of what Lauren was talking about, right? We're really trying to have one foot on earth and one foot on the astral, right? Meaning that we also have a physical body that's playing, things out here on earth, right? Our physical body. But then we also have the soul aspect of us, right? This light body that you're seeing, and it superimposes over the physical. And of course, when we go to bed at night, when we daydream, when we sort of check out and miss our, freeway exit or whatever, our light body sort of just, floating off, right? Sort of going to its real home, the astral. That's what we call the real home. And Earth is just a replica here. So this connection that you're talking about with this man, you're really reading his energy through your third eye. And this is your sixth chakra. This is your clairvoyant eye. So you're really able to see clairvoyantly with your third eye, this particular man's light body. Absolutely. You are seeing clairvoyantly, reading energy, this man's astral body, his light body. And we really do this a lot, right? Lauren was talking about how in empathic ways, right? We really absorb other people's energy. Well, really, it's the light body sort of going out and going into other people's space, right? We're allowing that. And you're just clairvoyantly reading it. And I love that you're reading the aura too, right? You're seeing all the layers of the aura. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. So you're really just reading what we call in our clairvoyant programs, right? You learn how to read energy through your throat chakra. So of course, that's going to be your clairaudience, your telepathy, and then your sixth chakra, which is your third eye, which is wide open for you, right? And then of course, your crown chakra right here, which is your claircognizance, your clear knowing. So clear knowing, clear seeing, clear hearing. And you're just reading with your sixth chakra. And so let me look at your aura. And so you've been seeing auras. So no, this doesn't happen to everyone. And although you can develop that, absolutely, and you'd really like to take it further. Well, maybe perhaps you might want to, if you're wanting to take this further, I think what you mean in that question that you're wanting to take this experience further, I don't think it's a relationship question. I think you're asking about taking, this whole experience of reading the light body and really reading through your sixth chakra further. Maybe perhaps if he's open to it, have a conversation with him about it, right? Maybe that you sort of want to play with him, right? And that's what we do in our psychic reading clinics. That's what we do in our clairvoyant, psychic development classes. We play and we read each other. But maybe a good way for you to play is actually, it seems to work where you're face to face, and maybe just ask him to stand there and see if he'd be tolerant about you sort of playing with him and seeing if his astral body comes on over. I don't know. What you got, Lauren?
Well, I think probably Crystal and I don't know, I'm not speaking for Crystal, but I know personally, all of the psychic impressions that were hitting my chakras before I was trained, I was completely unconscious to. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize what was happening. And then when I was formally trained, like 13 years ago, the technique is so locked down, the clairvoyant teachings that Crystal and I do, that you're absolutely sure that you're reading the other person and you're not reading yourself. And so I think for me, that was really important. It's like, well, am I just imagining this? Is this my own information? So what we're able to do is to metaphysically set our space so that we're for sure reading something outside of our aura and not inside. So it looks like you have already stumbled on a way to do that. So I think probably energetic experiments are the best thing to do. Like this gentleman, if he's willing, you might
willing participant. Yeah.
You might ask him to shift his energy, so you're clairvoyantly watching him, and you might see a main color in one of the layers of his aura, and then ask him, so how are you feeling? What are you thinking about? Okay, how about you think about your mother? That'll light everybody up.
Everyone.
Start to think about your mother. and notice if whatever you're perceiving starts to change. Now, I will tell you that it's harder to read people that you do have feelings for, whether they're romantic or, just like you said, long-term connection. I read much better for a complete stranger than I do for somebody that I love and that I have investment in their life, right? Like, I don't want bad things to happen to Crystal, right? But Crystal's higher self is going to sign contracts that, from my perspective, are going to look like, why are you doing that? Don't do that. So I'm not neutral to Crystal. I have a preconceived idea of what I think would be a good life for her, right? But a perfect stranger, I don't care. I mean, I love them, but I do not care whether, their aura is pink or blue or whatever that means. So I think that you stumbled onto something, and that you're probably going to have to hunt and peck to figure out what it means. Yeah. I'll go ahead, Crystal.
Oh, I think that was all I was going to add too, is Jessica, Lauren and I always say a curious psychic is a great psychic, right? Just in your experiments, just start asking what it means. When you say that you're seeing the aura, you're probably getting colors too. And when I was talking about that, there's two things, right? Energy and information. Information we see as pictures, energy we see as colors. So just start having fun, right? Like, start asking if pink comes into, when you're seeing the aura and it's pink, just sort of ask, well, what are you, right? What do you mean? What does that mean? And just start playing and being curious. Yeah. Have fun. Let us know.
I hope that helps. That's a good question.
Great question.
Okay, so let's see. Do we have any other announcements? Yes, one other thing. Crystal and I are clairvoyants, right? We have our own separate businesses, Crystal Sunshine and Golden Rose, and we provide the same services. We teach the very same things. And here at Metaphysical Q&A, you can book individual mentoring sessions with us. And you might ask, what's the difference between a clairvoyant reading and a metaphysical mentoring? Well, in clairvoyant readings, we do all the heavy lifting. We don't tell you, oh, you need to go do this. No, our healing masters go and do it to you. So there's no homework, right? Well, in the metaphysical mentoring, there's homework, right? If we're going to take a look at what you're up against, read it clairvoyantly, and design some kind of agenda for you to adhere to whatever your concern is. But there's also another thing at Metaphysical Q&A that Crystal and I were just talking about, and very rarely do we get a chance to read together, read the same person at the same time. So Metaphysical Q&A will, here in the next couple days, we'll have a new service where you can book a reading with both of us, and we'll both look at you and I don't know, we bestow our wisdom. I don't know if I would go that far.
I was wondering if you're going to drop that. Yeah.
How about share our silliness? That might be better.
Probably. And really what we do is so fun, and this is how Lauren and I work, is all of a sudden we'll both just get floods of ideas, and we text each other all day. What about this? What about that? And we had a really inspiring session yesterday with some really exciting stuff. So stay tuned, where we were able to read someone in tandem, right? And so essentially what we call that, and of course you learn this in our clairvoyant programs, is we read in a line. So essentially the gentleman that we were reading, we match his vibration just a half step higher. And essentially Lauren and I are sharing the same reading screen. Of course, we both interpret it a little bit different, and that's the great thing, right? It's not like dual monitors and, it's exactly it. We're both essentially reading the energy, and we're both, just how we're doing here, we're able to sort of bounce things off of each other and really get a really well-rounded reading, to where, Lauren may see something where I see it, but I hadn't really interpreted it that way, right? And so it's really interesting. So it's a really in-depth process. I mean, really in-depth reading. And we had so much fun doing it yesterday that, of course, last night we were like, maybe we should do that too. And that's usually how our creations come about to Metaphysical Q&A.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Another question? Yeah.
Moving on. Yeah.
I think Denise is up, right?
Yeah, I think Denise, this is a fun question. I keep well, not fun, but a very interesting. Sorry, Denise, I didn't mean to think it was fun. I keep finding animal bones on my porch. Can you see if it's a person or an animal putting them there? It's freaking me out, man.
All right.
Go ahead.
Okay.
No, go. I want you to do it.
Okay, let me see. Let me match you and let me take a look. It's an animal. Yeah, it's an animal that's doing it. But I think the real question is, why is it happening to you? I mean, right? The animal could be putting it on some other place, but why is it you? So,
right.
So I'll take a peek at that. I'm not sure how this connects, but in a past life, you were an animal communicator. That's exactly what it is. I feel almost that the animal that's bringing them to you, it's like a reward. They're rewarding you. They think you're a communicator. So, so I don't think I might take it as freaky. I think I might take it as an offering to you. So since we know that in a past life you've been a great animal communicator, maybe I might try to communicate to the animal that's leaving the gifts on my porch and tell them to put them somewhere else. And maybe I might do this, but I'm weird. I might create something off my porch. I might dig up like a little part of my my lawn or my garden, what's close to your front porch, and set your intention the bones are going to go there. And when you wake up in the morning and if their bones are on your porch, put them over in that little grave. And, you don't have to really cover them up, just leave them there. Because I think the animal really wants to, it has a lot of reverence for you. You're being revered. So I think that, to kind of keep this, I want to say relationship, you maybe not just throwing them out or, putting energy on the porch, like, stop doing that. This freaking me out. Instead to say, you're welcome. You're welcome. And you can put the offerings over here, please.
Well, and I'm going to take that a step further because when you said past life, I'm like, I got it too. And really, I'm going to take it a step further. Yes, of course, you're an amazing animal communicator, but taking it a step further, what you did was you actually sort of scried bones, right? And what that means is, I think that's the right term, right? When you would read bones, a scrying. Yeah. And essentially what that is, it's very sort of, it's a way of like you would collect bones, right? So essentially all these offerings that are showing up on your porch. In this lifetime, you had this satchel, like this little belt, sort of waist satchel, sort of you had a belt and like a leather satchel, if you will. And those were your bones in there. So, and what happens is, with the bones, if you had to, you would essentially tell the future, right? Or you would read people's energy. You were a psychic. You were an animal communicator. And so you would get asked a question, or maybe it's something, it's very similar to like pulling a card or something, or working with the pendulum. You would get your leather satchel out, get those bones, right? You would lay like the satchel would lay out flat, and then you would take the bones, you would set the intention on what you were asking, right? And then you would throw them out on the leather there, and how they fell, you would read, sort of like reading tea leaves, right? You would read that and it would mean something to you. And I get that this animal very much has picked up on this, and I am going to tell you that every bone that it's being left, it's sort of a message, if you will. So, and I don't think in this lifetime you're going to really understand what that message is, but it feels very tribal. And of course it is a calling. But if this is super freaking you out and you're not weird like Lauren and I are, then maybe perhaps you could just work with your guides and really updating your contracts to be like, you know what, not in this lifetime. I'm not not an animal communicator in this lifetime. I'm not. And you could work it that way and just say, no, I don't really want that. Or you could be weird like us and just set up like a little sacred space and and sort of just honor the communication that they're wanting to communicate with you. And I think it's a beautiful thing that shows that how multidimensional we are, right? How it's so easy to read these other lives of you as this wonderful healer. And it's humans sort of that gets in the way, right, of not seeing us as these multidimensional beings. And animals can really see us as these beings, right? Very easily read that this is who you are. It's a part of your fabric of your soul, right? It's just humans that can't read it, but animals definitely can read it. And he was like, oh, that's the one. I've got messages. Oh, that's, she has that in her soul. So I think it just goes to show what a great example of how we are these beautiful multidimensional beings. So
I have to tell you a funny story. So yeah. Somewhere along my life, I read about casting bones.
Casting.
Yeah, and I got so excited. It like lit up some past life memory in my space of doing that. But I'm a vegetarian. So I told one of my friends, I'm like, look, if you come to happy hour with me, I will buy all of your drinks, but you have to eat 13 chicken legs for me.
Did you ever cast them?
No, I still have them and I haven't cast them.
Maybe it's Lauren dropping the chicken bones off on your parts.
Read them for me.
Yeah. Or, maybe you want to, pick up this past life and start reading them, Denise. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's what I would do. Yeah. Let us know.
All right.
Okay.
Do we have time for one more, Crystal?
We've got one more. Yeah. Genie. Okay, cool.
That's a David Bowie song.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's before your time.
No.
Genie. Yeah. Okay.
So I haven't been able to hear or get messages from my higher self. I've been trying and meditating, but what do you think is up?
Do you want to start or do you want me to?
I'll start since you started the last one.
Okay.
Okay. Well, you sound just like me before I actually learned how to decipher everything that was going on. So essentially, if you've been with us, you have heard Lauren talk about not being aware, right? We're all psychic, right? We all are these multidimensional beings. We all have all this communication coming in, but until you really hone in on your skills, right? Maybe enter into a clairvoyant program, maybe really hone in and start really working with understanding what it is, then you sort of have like all this language going around and you just don't know how to make sense of it, right? You're sort of unconscious to it, if you will. Now, for you, this was exactly me. I would sit and I would pray and pray and pray and just talk to my guides like, I'm so ready to hear you. Why aren't you talking to me? And the truth is, they were talking to me the entire time. I just didn't understand their language yet. I didn't get their language. And that's really what it's all about, is understanding that it's a new language for you that has always been in your space. You've just been unconscious to it. So, and I get this frustration. The more you try, the more you almost go white, what we call white unconscious, right? It's and you get kind of mad. I've been trying for 10 years to hear them. And really what it is, like I said, it's deciphering your language, and it is your language. And also being very patient with yourself in learning this new language, right? You didn't pick up Italian, in one day, and of course, or even 6 months, right? You didn't learn your first language, your native tongue. It took you probably 3, 4, 5, 6 years, right? To really start articulating well. And it's the same with this. It is a language. And for me personally, of course, I can only speak with me, but of course, all of my, plenty of students and Lauren's students too, really about hearing your guides. They come in various different ways. For me, mine come in on the right side, and it's not as if I'm Lauren and I are talking, right? I know very distinctly what's my voice, and I know very distinctly what Lauren's voice is because it sounds different. There's a different tone to it. For me personally, clairaudience, really hearing your guides, is really deciphering your inner voice, really deciphering that inner voice of, here's an example. If I know that it's just me sort of beating myself, me having conversations, what happens is it sounds like it's a carousel, right? You sort of like go round and round and round with yourself. Like, I don't know if I should go out tonight. I don't know if I should do that, right? And it's very circular, going round and round. When are you getting off the carousel, right? Or you're analytical, or it's self-hatred, or, that whole cycle that we do. And when I say guides, it's also your higher self, right? Because your higher self is here. And then, of course, our guides are here too. It's the multidimensional being part of you, the soul aspect of you. How I know the difference is all of a sudden something will come in. It's very clear, although it sounds like it's my inner voice, right? It's not like the tonal difference. There's a tonal difference, but it's a sure voice. It's a very confident voice. It's something, a perspective that I wouldn't have thought about. And it's something that's way smarter than me, right? Yep. So it's that moment where you go, ooh, I did not think of it that way. Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, I'm so clever, right? Oh, I'm so clever. That's the moment. It's confident, it's sure, it's usually very direct. And it's much smarter than what you would have said, meaning that it's not the self-hatred. It's not the cyclical cycle of da, 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 da. It's here, it's now, it's sure. Can you add to anything?
And fast.
Fast. The first thing you hear.
Yep. So of course, we have two hemispheres of our brain. Our left brain thinks in steps. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And that's the way everyone in this military industrial complex was raised, because, even if you're, like I'm 57 and I was raised as a girl, right? And my father taught me to think logically. It was very important to him that I could think logically. So we went over things and over things and over things. And he would say, now what would you do? Based on this information, what would you do now? Wow. So the right brain is completely different. So the left brain, and I know when I'm analyzing, when I'm thinking, because I'm going well, it could be this. Well, I wonder if it's that. Well, that might be it. Yeah, what do you know? Right? The right brain just blurts it out. It's like Crystal said, and you don't know the answer. One time I was in my backyard and I let my garden go fallow or farrow. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, which means that you don't pull the weeds. Right. I was experimenting with what plants the universe thought was important to me. The seeds would come into the backyard. Right. So there was a flower there that, I did not plant. And I looked at it, and in my left brain, this is how far I got. I wonder what, and just think how fast a Homo sapiens left brain works. Right. That was probably less than a millisecond that I was about to pose the question, I wonder what flower that is. And I instantly heard, Mom. I was like, Mom? I don't know anything about moms. And, you may think I know a lot about flowers because we're always talking about roses. I know nothing about flowers, nothing. So I went and Googled it, and it was a mom. So I think another thing that really helped me start to be able to trust what I was getting from my guides and angels and higher self and the supreme being and all those beings without bodies is by doing energy work on me, I started to get to know where I end and other people, whether they have bodies or not, start. So I'm very aware of Lauren Cielo right now. Like when I do my meditations and I move into the center of Lauren's head, I know me, right? So when something's coming from out there into here, I know it versus am I just, kind of, pardon the expression, oh, you know what? I was just going to say something sexual. That's why you sneezed. I was going to say,
my horoscope.
I was going to say, instead of feeling like I'm metaphysically masturbating, that's what I was going to say. And you knew it, so you sneezed.
We just did our own metaphysical experiment. We just did it. Share with the audience. Yeah.
If you have never heard us talk about what a sneeze is, you might want to go check out the podcast. Which one is it, Crystal? Is it the human sexuality one?
I think it's metaphysics of human sexuality. I think so. That's great. Oh my God, that's great. And I haven't sneezed in a lot. Well, I haven't sneezed in a while.
Well, you know what? I almost sneezed when you were reading somebody, and I thought, oh no, I wonder what sex thing I'm lighting up.
That's awesome.
Well, Crystal, do you think we've done it?
Oh my gosh, I do. I think that we have made metaphysics crystal clear.
And golden delicious. Thank you, everyone. We'll be back on the first Thursday of May. So come back.
Yay. Thank you. We're so grateful. Sorry we didn't get to everyone.
Bye.